Welcome, you curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a question that's definitely got people talking in the AFC South, especially if you follow the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're really zeroing in on a specific spot on their roster, a position battle that could have, well, a pretty big impact.
Yeah, we've got this Yardbarker article here, originally from Jacksonville Jaguars on SI, written by Brian Anthony Davis, and it's fresh, updated just today, July 1st, 2025. It asks this really direct question, puts it right out there. Do Jaguars finally have a running mate for Tyson Campbell? So our mission today, let's unpack that. What does this article really tell us about the Jags cornerback situation? Now, you might be thinking, okay, one cornerback spot, how vital is that really? But believe me, it's a foundation. It's a foundational piece. It can change a whole defense.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating, isn't it, how just one position, one player can send ripples across the entire defensive strategy. The article really frames it well, kind of like that classic Robin to Batman thing for the Jaguars. They've got their star, Campbell, that's Batman. Now they're looking for his partner, his Robin. And it makes you wonder, right, how do you find that perfect fit? And what happens when the competition for that spot is, well, really heating up?
Okay, let's dig in then. So for 2025, it looks like the new GM, James Gladstone, he's really focused on finding that partner for Tyson Campbell. We're talking about the guy who lines up opposite Campbell, the one who helps solidify that entire defensive backfield, because it's not just about one star corner, is it? You need a duo, a pair that can shut things down on both sides.
Yep. Exactly. And thinking bigger picture, in the NFL, if you get a dominant cornerback duo, that completely changes the game for your defense. It gives the defensive coordinator so much more freedom. You know, when you trust both your corners on islands, basically, it lets your pass rush get home. More time for them, which leads to more sacks, more pressure, maybe more turnovers. So this article, it's hammering home how vital this running mate is. Not just as another body, but as someone who elevates the whole unit. It gives head coach Liam Cohen options, lets him get creative with blitzes, coverages, all that stuff.
Right. And the article points pretty quickly to a main contender here, Jordan Lewis, veteran guy, former Cowboy. And they signed him to a pretty hefty deal, 3 years, $30 million. Now, you see that number, $30 million, and you immediately think, okay, he's the guy. He's got to be the starter, right? I mean, that's a serious investment. It clearly signals the team sees him as like a key piece. They even mentioned seeing a picture of him, Lewis, wearing number 2, already warming up back in May at the facility in Jacksonville. So he's already there, getting integrated. That kind of money usually means big expectations.
And that's the interesting part, isn't it? Does a big contract actually guarantee you start in this league? Lewis is signing, yeah, it's huge. $30 million is no joke. But the source makes it really clear that's not the whole story. Not by a long shot. It comes down to performance right now. And maybe even more importantly, how does he fit? How does he fit into what Liam Cohen wants to do defensively? Because every coach has their system, their philosophy. And even a talented guy, a paid guy, has to show he can execute that vision. It really just shows you how competitive the NFL is. Every single spot, even for a big signing, feels like it has to be earned day in, day out.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting for me. Despite that contract, despite the obvious investment in Lewis, the article really hammers this point. There's more talent in Duval hungry for the title. Duval, of course, meaning Duval County, where the Jags play. So it's not like they just handed Lewis the keys. No coronation here. It sounds like it's shaping up to be a real battle. The article calls it one of the most fascinating training camp competitions for the team. You can just picture it, right? Intense practices, guys pushing each other, real pressure. It's not just Levis. You've probably got other vets, maybe some younger guys trying to make their mark, all gunning for that spot next to Campbell.
Yeah, and that internal competition, that dynamic, it's so crucial for a team getting better. It really is. It's what pushes guys. Knowing your job isn't safe, you have to bring it every day. And that kind of pressure, that competition, it can make the whole unit stronger, more resilient in the long run. The article even mentions this was a hot topic on the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider podcast recently, talked about by a beat writer, someone who's there every day covering the team. They have the pulse. So this isn't just us speculating. It's a real live discussion happening around the team. It shows there's genuine competition and maybe points to a healthy culture too, where performance is what matters most.
So, okay, let's bring it back to you listening. What does all this mean? Whether you're a diehard Jags fan and just love the NFL, or maybe you just enjoy a good story about competition. There's a lot here. This isn't just about Jordan Lewis versus whoever else is vying for the spot. It's a window into team strategy. How a new GM like Gladstone builds a roster using big free agent money and maybe trusting internal development. It shows the high stakes of pro sports, and whoever wins this battle. It could really shift the Jaguars' defense this season, big time, affecting how they match up against top offenses.
So what jumps out at you when you hear about this? Is it the money, that $30 million commitment to Lewis? What does that signal about their priorities, maybe the urgency they felt to get a veteran in there? Or is it the other side? The idea that even with that contract, the job's still up for grabs, that it really comes down to performance and fit and maybe who wants it more in camp. Because this competition is not just about who starts week 1, it's about the depth. Having multiple guys who can step in and play, that's huge over a long season. Injuries happen, slumps happen, that depth, that constant push, that can be the difference maker, between just being okay and being really good.
Yeah, this whole deep dive, it really shows us, doesn't it? Even when you have a clear front runner, a big investment, the real tests happen on the grass, on the practice field. With that more talent, hungry for the title, pushing the envelope, it definitely sets up a really compelling story for the Jaguars this season. Makes their training camp, their preseason games worth watching, or at least worth following closely. It's just a great reminder, isn't it? In the NFL, nothing's really locked down. You got to earn it every single day. So as we wrap this up, here's something to chew on. How much does a really intense training camp battle like this actually help a team's success beyond just figuring out the starting lineup? Does it mostly build that stronger team identity? Guys going through the fire together, pushing each other, makes the whole team tougher. Or is there a risk? If it's not handled just right, could it maybe cause some friction, some resentment if guys feel like they aren't getting a fair shot? Just something for you to think about as the Jaguars gear up for what looks like a pretty pivotal season for them.